Okay, good. And here I'm popping over here to talk to my friend Al Magid. Al is with the Reading is Fun program, and he's been on before, and we always like to get updates on it. But today's a little bit different because he's brought a guest with him. Who's your guest?
I brought my companion. My companion is both the logo and, what else shall we say, a chief operative in the Reading is Fun program. My companion's name is Bookworm. The given name is Book, the surname is Worm.
Okay.
And coincidentally,
hello, Mr. Worm, Miss Worm.
as indicated by the eyeglasses and the book, Bookworm is a bookworm. And the program is gender neutral, so we refer to Bookworm as he, she, or she, he. Never it.
Never it. No,
And
don't
never
be it.
worm. God help anybody who refers to my friend here as it or a worm. It is Bookworm.
Well, I will be sure not to do that, but I do love this. I love your logo here, or whatever, your mascot. You're doing some wonderful work, and I know you're looking for volunteers always,
Right.
as is every organization, but yours especially, because it's really mentoring kids.
Right. We founded, you know, Ann, because I've been on 4 times previously, I founded the organization, the program, literally 3 years ago on December 12th. We're growing like Topsy, horizontally and vertically. We are now with volunteers. We're an all-volunteer program, about 65 volunteers working with about 75 or 80 children in more than half of the dozen elementary schools in the city. And I have every expectation that ere long we'll be working in all of the elementary schools with only God knows how many children. The need is pressing. As I've indicated to you previously on another show or shows, of the 10,000 children, school children, pre-K up to senior and high school in the school district, more than 50% are underperforming in math and English language arts.
That's terrible.
Okay,
And you need, whether it's math or English or any of the arts, you need to be able to read. That's the essential.
Absolutely. Literate, look, I have worked and lived, I'm a retired professor. I spent a year in Nigeria, worked in a tribal society where the literacy rate was 33%. People lived out their lives being illiterate or non-literate. That was basically a subsistence society, a subsistence economy. America is anything but that. Without literacy in our society, basically you have little to no future.
Right now, people that can't use a computer are being left behind.
Precisely it. And our work, we are an educational program. At the foundational level, we work with pre-K, K, grades 1, 2, and 3, principally in the school district, but in the city at large. So we have families with pre-K 4-year-olds not yet in school. We will work with their child or children at the main library, let's say. We make minimal demands on families, on schools, on volunteers. We ask every volunteer to work with at least one child 30 to 60 minutes in the school or possibly in the library. We have volunteers. We have one working at one of the elementary schools with 6 children. We ask them to work only 30 to 60 minutes. This one woman is...
Per week or per day?
Per week. This one woman is extraordinary. She's devoted all Friday weekly, 8:30 to 11:30 in succession, one-on-one, must be one-on-one, working with no stop for 30 minutes with each of 6 children.
Now, suppose somebody wanted to work with you on this program, and they're going to go to a school. How is the child evaluated? You may have a child in 3rd grade that is reading at the pre-K level.
Right.
How is that determined, and how can you approach that?
That's a fine question. First of all, we train we have a 1-hour intensive training program. 2 of our volunteers are experts, so they do the training at the First United Methodist Church, where we have a donated office and we have training facilities. Okay. We don't cherry pick in the school district. What we will do is make contact with the elementary school principal, ask that principal to give us a contact person on the staff, and through that contact person, he or she will go to the teachers, pre-K, K, 1, 2, and 3, and say, who are your neediest kids in terms of help? They will designate the kids. We will work with them. it would be wonderful to have the resources to work with gifted children. We have teachers who will sometimes say to me, Al, I have a great reader. Could you bring her to the next level? I have to say no. We don't want to work with the great. We're trying to work with the kids who are the virtual opposites of the great readers, okay? And so we let the teacher tell us, look, Janie or Jimmy would really benefit, and we don't second guess. We work with the Janie and the Jimmy. And that's the heart of our partnership with the district. We are in a formal partnership with the district, and we work in the schools. We might ask the teacher, for example, I'm volunteering at Lincoln, and I know how important it is in literacy training to be able to develop proficiency with rhyming. So I asked the teacher, provide me some of your rhyme material. She does that. But we're not in the classroom. We don't burden them, okay? We have truly a wonderful cooperative partnership with the school district, and we have partnerships with other programs in the city. For example, the Sheriff D'Agostino, Dom D'Agostino, a very good friend of mine, is a RIF volunteer. He volunteers at Lincoln, where I volunteer, in uniform, once a week.
That's really a nice thing, because the kids kind of understand that this is your friend.
Well, that's the point. We are about teaching reading readiness and conversational skills and vocabulary, but a subtext, a sub-narrative is raising the uniformed services, the police and the jailers, in the eyes of the community. Now, we know we can't do that by going to the community and say, hey, love cops. They're not going to love cops.
It's just gotta happen.
But if they see a cop in uniform reading to them, as a parent might, that will help elevate them. So we have them.
And you even go to the jail.
We've done some work in the jail. Jail is difficult. We want to have the children of inmates in there, but unlike a state or federal prison, the population is highly mobile in the county jail, in and out. But where we can, we work with them. I think you know, we got a great, wonderful, long article with photos of myself and the sheriff some months ago, okay? But we're bold beyond, I'm a venturesome guy who likes to be challenged. So I won't name the organizations, but I'm in the process now of working with nonprofits who deal with reentry of inmates and drug addicts, where we would work with them and their children brought to the site of that program, okay? I'm also working with in the very early stages, but I'm optimistic, that we'll be able to bring on board as RIF volunteers, select disabled teenagers and adults who, with staff people in the organization, would be RIF volunteers, as you or I or the sheriff would be. Okay, we range in is there sex or gender discrimination? No, mostly female, but we have males too. No age. Our youngest are 3 wonderful 14-year-old freshmen in Niskuna High School who, under the guidance of their mother, teach one-on-one with children. Okay.
Are you looking for retired people as well?
I'm looking for anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. When we took on the 92-year-old Marietta, who's just wonderful, I said, given your age, I mean, this is a high compliment, I think you can help me. She says, how can I help you, Al? I said, I'd like to have a volunteer who's 100 years old. She said, and periodically when I email with her, I said, how you doing? I'm still working on it.
She's working on the 100-year-old.
We will take, look, the kind of...
as older and still viable and energetic.
Yeah, we don't dragoon people. The kind of people, whatever their background, who become volunteers, they want to do it for personal satisfaction and a sense of civic engagement, productive usefulness, and So I don't have to proselytize them. I try to go to organizations, programs like this, to encourage people to volunteer, but I don't have to strong arm. They've strong armed themselves, so to speak. Once they come to me, they've self-selected.
Yeah.
I don't have to select them. Okay. Now, we've raised some money. We continue to raise money. We have needs, even though we're volunteer. We invite donations of money, but again, no strong arming. We invite donations of children's books. We have a substantial body of children's books at our donate office in First United Methodist Church, right up the street here. But we're not a library that houses books. They come in, they go out, they come in, they go, we want them out. I mean, my success story would be, as soon as a book comes in, we give it to a volunteer who gives it to a kid and what have you. We could always use more books, but the sine qua non, the most difficult part, and it's difficult in my job, frankly, okay, is getting volunteers, okay? This program cannot succeed without volunteers. We don't need the money and the children's books. You have library resources as much as we need. John and Jane Doe that come in for a minimum of 30 to 60 minutes once a week. And what makes it particularly difficult, we're not like a General Motors or a Proctor's. We have to reinvent ourselves every year. Volunteers drop out, they pass on, they become snowbirds, they're preoccupied with their grandchildren. So every year we must renew ourselves and get new volunteers. Every year, the pre-K kid goes to the first grade, first to the second, second to the
Got
third.
new kids coming in.
One of the great challenges, and I love challenges, is precisely that renewal process. This organization will never suffer stasis, will never suffer status. There is no status quo with us. Our status quo changes every second of the day, literally, okay? So I'm here, my principal reason for coming, apart from the fact that I love the program, and I love Ann, okay, is to urge you, to beg you. The situation is really desperate in the city. Keep in mind, more than 50% at all grade levels are under reading, okay? So when people sometimes ask me, well, how many volunteers do you need? I say, how about
everybody?
How about 2,000? I said, you're jesting. I said, oh, you think that's not enough? How about 3,000?
Yeah,
okay. In all the literature I sent out, all the presentations I make, including today, I underline 5 times, okay? We can never have too many, we can never have enough volunteers. So my pitch du jour, my pitch of the day today is, we need volunteers, volunteers, volunteers. We will be flexible, we'll accommodate your scheduling needs, and all you've got to do is get to me on email, phone, I'm a very accessible guy, and say, I'm interested in being a volunteer, we will fix it. We have a very easy 1-hour training session in the church library. We will make it very comfortable for you, and we want the program. I not only believe that reading is fun and should be fun, the volunteers will have fun. They will often say to me, this is fun.
Yeah, and you get to meet a child
Absolutely.
who really wants to learn how to read. I'm hoping they all want to learn
look
how to
at
read.
look at conjunction for the volunteer. Personal pleasure combined with social and civic purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no better combination than that.
I think you got it.
There's
You
no better
picked a good
combination than
thing.
that.
Yeah. Al Magid, he's the founder and the executive director of Reading is Fun. And if you get confused or something, just give me, email me or let me know, and I'll be sure to pass your name on to Al. And you can find out all about what he does on my Facebook page as well as my website. So,
And I'm going to take the liberty, I'm sure Ann will forgive me in saying, delighted to meet you on this, my 5th appearance, and I'll see you again on my 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th appearances ad infinitum.
what a silver-tongued devil he is. He just slipped that right in like that. Al, have a wonderful holiday.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.